Hi everyone, and welcome to the 5th episode of T's Cooking Adventures. Today we're going to be doing a beef chili, my version of a beef chili, kind of a combination of a beef mince and chili con carne. Really easy, simple dish that you can whack on. I'm going to do it in the oven, you can do it on the stove, you can do it in a slow cooker, whatever thing you have at home, how much time you've got. Hopefully this will take probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours to make sure it's nice and cooked and tastes really good. You can speed it up a bit by increasing the heat and getting it done a bit quicker in about an hour, but if you want the real flavours to come through properly, the longer you can cook the meat, the better it tastes. Let's see how we go. Cheers. So, ingredients today, similar to most of my dishes: whole onion, 4 cloves of garlic, some ginger, a couple of tomatoes. I'm going to put a couple of chilies in. I like a bit of heat, so obviously the less heat, the less chili you want to put in. A green pepper, green capsicum, 2 tins of tomatoes, some kidney beans, red kidney beans, secret ingredient, a little bit of cocoa, tomato paste, and some beef stock. And we're actually going to throw some mushies in today as well, because I've got some mushrooms. And the rest of the spices we'll go through while we're cooking. So, usual prep, let's start by dicing the onion, garlic and the chilies. Get them ready for sautéing. Get the garlic crusher out to crush the garlic in with the onions. Give them a good press. Okay, we're going to put the chilies in now with the onion and garlic. Just going to halve them and then dice them in with them. Again, as I said before, if you don't want it to be too hot, take the seeds out, and that'll make it a little less chili. Or we'll use just 1 chili rather than 2. Then tomatoes, we're just going to dice them up as well. Cut the core out. Then we've got the capsicum, same deal. Just dice that up as well. Cut the core out of that. And lastly, we've got about 6 little button mushrooms. You don't need to put these in, but I've got some, so I'll chuck them in as well. Okay, once that's all diced up, you're ready to cook. Cheers. So I'll just put a knob of butter in the pan, and we're going to brown the mince in small batches so we don't sweat it, so it fries nice and evenly and it doesn't get all wet. So make sure you don't crowd the pan when you're doing this. Most important step, I reckon, if you can get the meat nice and brown, the flavour at the end is even better. So you want to try and do this in sort of 2 or 3 batches, depending on how much mince you've got. Alright, once you've browned off all the meat, now it's ready to saute all the other veggies. So I'm going to chuck a little bit of olive oil in there, get that nice and hot, and pop in the onion, garlic and chilies, and a heaped teaspoon of ginger. And again, really important that we saute these onions really well, break them down a little bit. At this stage I like to put in the spices just to cook them off a little bit. unlike a curry, it's not heaps of spices, but we've got a few. So we're going to start with a tablespoon of cumin. And a tablespoon of paprika. A teaspoon of coriander seeds, ground coriander seeds. And similar with the whole chilli, you're going to put a bit of ground chilli powder in there. Again, depending on how hot you want it, that'll decide how much you put in. I'm going to put about a teaspoon in. You can always add more later, but you can't take any out. So it's better to go a little bit under if you're not sure. And we're just going to cook that off with the onion and garlic and ginger, just to kind of get the spices opened up. And now we're going to add the meat back in with all those juices that have come out a little bit as well. I'm going to add the other vegetables back in, or in now. Tomatoes, mushrooms, capsicum. And then we'll add in the diced tomatoes. And we're going to put in a beef stock cube in about 200 mils of water. If you want it to be a bit thicker, you make it in less water. And about 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. And I forgot the special secret ingredient, 2 teaspoons of cocoa powder. Pop that in now. And that'll really give it that nice rounded flavour to cut the sweetness of the tomato and the spice of the chilli. Now we've got our oven set preheated about 170 degrees. Once we bring this up to the simmer, we're going to give it a little taste, and then I'm going to pop it in the oven. It's a little wetter than I'd like, but I like that because I can put it in the oven with the lid off, and that'll actually draw off some of the fluid and reduce the volume of fluid, but also increase the intensity of the flavours in there. Okay, just come back up to the simmer, give it a little stir, and I'm just going to taste the sauce and see how it's looking. I haven't had any salt or pepper at this stage, or any sugar, so I've got those options if I need to tweak the flavour a little bit. Excellent. It does need a little bit of salt and a bit of pepper. And pop a little bit of salt in. Give another little taste. Better. You can always add some more salt later if we need it, once it all comes together. So now we'll come up to the simmer again. I'm going to pop that in the oven for about 20 minutes, just to get some of the fluid off, so it's a bit thicker, and then we'll pop the lid back on. So I've had this actually in the oven at 170 degrees for another 30 minutes to try and bring some of that fluid off, and it actually got it down quite a lot. You can always put it on the stove and bubble it off to try and get it even less fluid if you like. But I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm going to give that a taste. And if it's going well, I'll put the lid on and put that back into the oven. Pretty good. I'm going to go with just a fraction more salt and pepper. give it a stir, and then I'm going to pop that back in the oven for another about half an hour to 40 minutes, and it should be done. So the pot's been in the oven for another 30 minutes and it looks really good. It's come together really well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add in the kidney beans that we've washed, we've drained and then washed to get the sauce off that comes in the can. We'll toss those in, give them a stir, and then we're going to cook that for another 10 or so minutes. Just the beans don't need much, and then it should be ready to go. Alright, so that's been about 10 minutes for the beans to cook in and giving the stove a bit of time to cook off some of that fluid. Going to give it one last taste. Excellent. I'm going to finish it with just a little bit of sugar and some lemon. Half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of sugar, doesn't need to be a lot. And just squeeze in half a lemon. So you can see that's come together really well. Nice spicy beef chili, a little bit of sugar from the tomato. You can serve that with a tortilla, with cheese and sour cream, some lettuce, that sort of stuff. I'm going to have some rice tonight, but goes well with lots of things. Great to keep in the freezer, take to work, that kind of stuff, especially if you've got a whole lot of mince sitting in the freezer. Get that put to work and have some meals for the next few weeks.